So out of all the paths in Starro, the one that's probably been by far the most neglected has been Preservation. Because, like, it's only gotten 2 characters since launch, both of them being 5 stars, while paths like Hunt and Destruction have gotten 6. Even Abundance, which is basically, the counterpart to Preservation, has gotten 5, with 2 of them being 4 stars as well. So my biggest question for a while has been like, why? But why is Preservation been so neglected? Now, the first thing that many people would say is, oh, sustains are usually the least popular in terms of pulls, and just generally people just don't get as excited for sustains as they do for like big DPS characters, which is definitely true to some extent. People generally would rather pull for like characters like Facia or Acheron. At the same time, that still doesn't really explain it, because we have at least gotten some Abundance characters. Like, we got Linksha, we got Gallagher, we got I know there are others, but I can't remember them right now. Dude, we've gotten like an okay amount of them. Definitely more than Preservation. I mean, we literally got an Abundance character in the last patch. Well, at least in my opinion, I think the main problem with Preservation isn't really anything to do with like sales or the popularity or anything like that. I really think that's sort of part of it, but I don't think that's the whole story. I think the main problem with Preservation is that it's just too good. Now, what do I mean by that? Well, first of all, Preservation is just better than Abundance in general. Like, you would always rather like have a shield to just not take damage at all than have to heal that damage. One, it prevents you getting one shot. Generally, a lot of the Preservation characters we've gotten have just kind of just been very strong, which we'll get to that later. And in general, it is just the better sustain path. And this is why I think Hoyo has released so few Preservation characters, is to try and equal out the level of both of the sustain paths. Because if they just kept releasing equal amounts of Preservation and Abundance characters, then like you basically always want a Preservation character every single time. Even the 2 that we've gotten have been like insane. Fushuan has kind of fallen off of it just because the game is a bit more archetype focused now. But she's still a pretty good character. It's not like she's bad at all. But Aventurine, on the other hand, is probably like a bit too good, and I'm not sure if they can ever make another shielder with him in the game. To be honest, like he's an auto include in basically any follow-up team, and even in like non-follow-up team, because he's basically just makes it so that you just can't die for most of the content in the game, unless you're doing like really like high calamity level like Simulated Universe or something. But besides that, for like most content in the game, you're basically just not gonna die. So like at least the direction that Hoyo's going with these sustain paths, it feels like Hoyo's trying to make each sustain path fit a archetype. Like, I feel like Preservation is more of the follow-up path, at least right now, because we've only gotten 1 new Preservation character for follow-up, which is Aventurine. While for Abundance is more focused on break, with characters like Gallagher and Linksha being mainly break characters. But also, I feel like they're just making not as many Preservation characters. They're not making as many Preservation characters, just so Abundance just doesn't get completely just overshadowed into 0. Now, do I agree with that? Not really, because I feel like even if Preservation is just really good, I feel like we should still at least get some more characters than like 2 in like a year and a half. Like, come on, man. We haven't even gotten a new 4-star yet. Like, basically every single class has gotten a 4-star besides like Erudition. But at least Erudition has Herta, who's free. And like the only 4-star we've had for Preservation has been like March, and I guess technically MC, but like, are you really gonna use those over their new forms? Like let's be honest. Like, it's basically the only options you have in terms of Preservation is 5 stars, and you're basically just locked out of whole path, which does kind of feel like shit. But that is kind of a problem with a lot of other archetypes and stuff, with stuff like break. But that's kind of a whole other video in of itself. But yeah, I think the main problem with preservation is just that it is just way too good, and the characters in it are just way too strong. So I feel like Hoyo is trying to like level the playing field and make abundance at least a bit more like people want to make people to try and make people at least want to use abundance over preservation, especially with not making any break preservation characters. So you basically have to use abundance in break teams. Well, it's like, I mean, you probably don't like have to just because Adventuring is that good, but it's, you know, mainly preferable. Now, I don't really agree with that. I feel like there's got to be a better way to balance it, but you know, at the same time, I don't work at Hoyoverse, so I guess we'll just have to wait and see how things turn out. Because you know, I don't look at leaks, so I don't really know what's coming in. I don't really know what's coming in the future of the game. But yeah, that's it for the video. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I will see you in the next one.